Good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock evening news. I'm John Shelton. We begin with the main headlines. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah heads Kuwait's delegation to the 26th Arab League Summit in Sharm el Sheikh. The UN Security Council welcomes the third International Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Syria, hosted by Kuwait. Arab foreign ministers agree on a draft resolution to establish a joint Arab force and refers it to Arab leaders for endorsement. And Operation Resolve Storm continues as Saudi-led Arab coalition forces carry out airstrikes targeting new locations in the Yemeni capital. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah and his accompanying delegation left the country today afternoon for the Arab Republic of Egypt, heading the State of Kuwait's delegation at the 26th Arab League Summit due to convene in Sharm el Sheikh. His Highness was seen off at the airport by His Highnesses the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Naif Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Jaber Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, Acting National Assembly Speaker Mubarak Mnia Ala Karendej, Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Nasser Sabah Al Ahmed Al Sabah, Deputy Premier and Minister of Interior Sheikh Mohammed Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, Deputy Premier and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al Jara Al Sabah. His Highness the Emir is accompanied by an official delegation that includes First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sheikh Mohammed Al Abdullah Al Mubarak Al Sabah, Minister of Finance and Acting Minister of Commerce and Industry Anas Khalid Al Salah. The delegation also includes Director of His Highness the Emir's Bureau Ahmed Fahad Al Fahad, Advisor at the Emiri Diwan Mohammed Abdullah Abdul Hassan, Head of Emiri Protocol Sheikh Khalid Al Abdullah Al Sabah Al Nasser Al Sabah, Under-Secretary of the Foreign Ministry Khalid Suleiman Al Jarala, Head of Media and Cultural Affairs at the Emiri Diwan Yusuf Hamad Al Rumi, Under-Secretary for Political and Economic Affairs at the Emiri Diwan Fawaz Saud Nasser Saud Al Sabah, in addition to senior officials from the Emiri Diwan, Foreign Ministry and Ministry of Finance. Representatives of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al Mohammed Al Ahmed Al Sabah attended the funeral of former Singapore Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. Representative of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al Mohammed Al Ahmed Al Sabah, departed the Republic of Singapore after representing His Highness the Emir at the funeral of former Singapore Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. The representative of His Highness the Emir was seen off by the Director of Middle East Affairs at the Singapore Foreign Ministry, as well as Ambassador of the State of Kuwait to the Republic of Singapore, Yaqub Yusuf Al Sanad. Parliamentary caucus delegation headed by National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem this morning arrived in the Vietnamese capital Hanoi to take part in the 132nd Conference of Interparliamentary Union held between Saturday and Wednesday. The delegation includes Parliamentary caucus members Faisal Al-Shai, Dr. Uda Al-Raweh, Salah Ashur, Khalil Abdullah Saif Al-Azmi Mahdi Al-Hajiri, and National Assembly Secretary General Alam Al-Kandri. The UN Security Council welcomed the upcoming Third International Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Syria to be hosted by Kuwait on March 31st. In a statement, the UNSC expressed great gratitude to the initiative of His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jabbar Al-Sabah, of hosting the conference. The Council also encouraged the international community to respond with generous pledges of new humanitarian and development funding to the UN appeals for 2015. As the conflict in Syria enters its fifth year, the members of the Security Council expressed deep concern that the people of Syria continue to suffer from deteriorating conditions and regretted that more than 3.9 million Syrian refugees in neighbouring countries are in desperate need of humanitarian assistance. The UN Under-Secretary-General for Humanitarian Affairs, Valerie Amos, expressed her gratitude to His Highness the Emir, Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmad Al-Jabbar Al-Sabah, as well as the government and people of Kuwait, for hosting the Third International Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Syria. Amos warned that as the conflict enters its fifth year, the violence and brutality continue unabated and with total impunity. She urged the Security Council to consider taking concrete steps in the face of the Syrian regime's violations of the Council's resolutions that demand ceasing attacks against civilians and facilitate humanitarian access to those in need. Arab League Secretary General Nabil El Arabi announced that Arab foreign ministers agreed on a draft resolution to establish a joint Arab force and referred it to Arab leaders for its endorsement. The statement was made by El Arabi in a joint press conference with Egyptian Foreign Minister Sama Shokri after the preparatory meeting of Arab foreign ministers for the 26th Arab League Summit. El Arabi said the Arab forces' role will focus on immediate intervention in any Arab state that comes under national threat or faces terrorism dangers. He added that the Arab foreign ministers affirmed their keenness in facing terrorism in a comprehensive way, including the military, security, ideological aspects. The Arab chief said this is the first time they relied on the Arab Defence Pact signed in 1950, describing it a historic move by the Arab League. Meanwhile, the Egyptian foreign minister denied any disputes over the establishment of the joint Arab force, adding that the Arab summit comes during a time where the Arab nation faces unprecedented challenges. Shokri said a special session is allocated for the situation in Yemen, noting that coalition countries will further coordinate in facing any threats to Arab national security. The Islamic Organization for Medical Sciences held a medical conference with the presence of the Minister of Justice, Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Yaqub Al-Saneh. The international scientific seminar was held under the title Doctors' Responsibility Towards Medical Mistakes from an Islamic Perspective. Nouran Alfi was there and brought this report.
The Islamic Organization for Medical Sciences inaugurated a medical conference with the presence of the Minister of Justice, Awqaf and Islamic Affairs, Yaqub Al-Saneh. The inauguration of the International Scientific Seminar, Doctors' Responsibility Toward Medical Mistakes from an Islamic Perspective, was under patronage of His Highness the Crown Prince, Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmad Al-Jabbar Al-Sabah.
There is a new draft bill in the National Assembly which will be specialized in the unintended medical mistakes, the small ones as well as the big ones, and it already passed the legal committee. If the law is approved, it will complete the legal deficiencies which have been used illegally by doctors in recent years. That's because I believe that there should be a suitable punishment for major mistakes.
Look at these things as something that can happen all the time, and what we should do is that we should always try to mend this mistake and to prevent it and to reduce it. And that's the purpose of this meeting, not to penalize doctors only, but also to see and to discuss it frankly and to look more justification for what happened that has been always not intended.
The conference discussed both the positive and the negative sides of the medical field, as well as they stressed on the main crisis of the unintended doctor mistakes in order to discover its reasons and results.
Between a patient who needs care and a doctor who wants to give care, it becomes something more commercial. And that is what we want to avoid in this part of the world. I think the relationship up till now in our part of the world has been very good. There are mistakes, yes. We are human beings after all. Doctors are the same like anybody else. They can make mistakes. But there are two criteria. They should not repeat this mistake and they should learn from it. And that's what we are going to discuss and try to ensure actually in the coming few days.
Also, the attendance stressed on the society role as a reason and a solution for that issue. The conference is seeking cooperation between medicine and judgment in order to achieve its main aim of obtaining a truthful social manners, such as having the courage to admit faults and apologize. From Crown Plaza, I am Nurhan Al-Alfi reporting for the English News.
Saudi-led Arab coalition forces carried out airstrikes today in an area close to the presidential compound in the Houthi-controlled Yemeni capital. Reports said the airstrikes also targeted a military facility that contains rockets, as well as other targeted linked to Houthis and their allies, who are loyal to former Yemeni President Ali Abdul Salah. Spokesperson for Operation Resolve Storm, Ahmad Asiri, said that the operation will continue until it fulfills its goals, noting that there are currently no plans for ground operations in Yemen. Asiri said that no one will be allowed to help Houthis in damaging the interests and stability of Yemen. Earlier, Yemeni President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi expressed gratitude to countries participating in Operation Resolve Storm for their swift response to his call for military intervention in his country. Iraqi troops continued battling the so-called IS group fighters in the northern city of Tikrit today as part of the final phase of an offensive to recapture Saddam Hussein's hometown from militants. Walid Al-Tay has more from Baghdad.
The actions on foot in Tikrit city. The Iraqi army is advancing thoroughly deep, reaching 500 meters away from Tikrit hospital, intensively imprinting the expertise and the well-coordinated formations traverses, while other brigades have turned around the province, starting from the so-called Spiker camp that used to be an American base and well-protected military complex. But now it's time for Iraqis to settle it once and for all, and firmly with real Iraqi effort. And at most, even a young army anywhere would simply require an assistance.
This base and this squadron has very distinguished role, especially in our battle against terrorism. And in fact, our meetings with the FOB commander and the Air Force General and other pilots have concluded that there are problems which are going to be solved.
Merely the declarations of the operations upon Tikrit city have led the terrorists, the so-called ISIS, diverting their move to Ardramadi. As many army officials have announced, they're facing two incoming suicide bombers, desperately reflecting how the so-called ISIS are searching for alternatives to find safe cities and empty areas for their hideout, to initiate again, but from different place, repeating a pattern of terrorism that has been well known for Iraqis.
Iraq now is truly getting aids from all the world's countries. And we as Iraqis welcome them, and we also express our gratitude. But these aids are not merely for Iraq's sake, but they are eliminating terrorism and improving humanitarian existence.
The world is standing by the Iraqi government's side to rebuild their country according to the international law and human rights and to fight terrorism. The preliminary victories are not decisive to end the war in Tikrit city, but deep penetration is required to the end, till the boundaries of Iraq, reaching out the most limit of the so-called ISIS without losing any soldier. Walid Al-Tay, Kuwait TV, Baghdad.
US Secretary of State John Kerry and Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif resumed negotiations on a possible nuclear deal in Lausanne, Switzerland, as they work on a nuclear deal with Iran. Head of Iran Atomic Energy Organization Ali Akbar Saleh and US Energy Secretary Ernest Moniz are also taking part in the talks, aimed at ensuring the peaceful nature of the Iranian nuclear program. Other European officials, including the foreign ministers of France and Russia, are expected to join the talks on Saturday as they near a deadline of March 31st for a framework agreement to be reached. Earlier, the US Senate voted unanimously supporting a non-binding measure to slap new economic sanctions on Iran should it violate terms of any nuclear deal it reaches with world powers. Lawmakers voted 100 to none on an amendment introduced to put further pressure on Tehran. Kayak for Kuwait team has announced the launch of its environmental campaign to tour some of the islands of the country. Kayak for Kuwait started in 2013 with the first attempt to kayak from Kuwait shores to Failaka Island and back. Heba Abdulrahman has more details in the following report.
With the presence of media members, Kayak for Kuwait team announced the launch of its new environmental campaign that tours a number of Kuwait's islands.
Today is the official media takeoff for our campaign that we are going to start on Saturday. It was planned to start on Friday, but because of the weather changing, there's a storm coming, so we're going to start on Saturday, inshallah. Our campaign is we're going to kayak around the islands of Kuwait, starting from here, ending in Khiran, and going through Bubian Island, Mischan, Felicha, Oha, Garo, Kubbar, Garo, Al-Maradim, وبعدين Felicha. The aim of the campaign is an environmental marine awareness campaign. We want to tell the people what is happening in the sea. We want to tell the people how the situation of the sea, how we can help, and how they can all help in making our sea a better environment, improving the fisheries, the status of the fisheries in the sea, and every other aspect of pollution. We are putting a lot of stress on the Gulf, and it is not an endless or bottomless ocean. It can take so much, and now the fish is becoming less and less. The population is increasing. We are depending more on import of fish rather than our own fish. Plus other problems, there are some species that are completely disappearing from the Gulf, and there are species that are almost endangered now. And the reasons are many. I don't want to get into all the reasons, but there is a solution. There are many technical solutions that can be done, whether they are executing and enforcing the new environmental law, which is an important one of them, and the government has done its best to ensure that there is a proper law. So now the law is here and it needs to be executed. We're waiting for that. And we also want to tell the government that we support the government in every action they do to protect everybody's sea.
He's going around all of the Kuwait islands, and he's gonna do this because the sake of the sea is dirty, and all of plastic and stuff like this are in the sea, and everyone's polluting it, so he's trying to help this. Like usually at school or in the car, we see people throwing stuff, and I tell my mama, I want to tell the guys to stop throwing the zigaira. He's going to go around Kuwait kayaking, because there's a lot of people who are throwing plastic and dirt in the sea. So he's gonna show them what not to do and what to do, so he keeps Kuwait clean.
After setting their goal, the team aims to raise people's awareness concerning how to keep our environment clean and safe from the pollution and marine issues that are affecting our sea, in an attempt to change the destructive behavior and encourage the positive actions that will hopefully rescue the Kuwaiti waters and Gulf from further deterioration. From Kuwait Towers Seashore, I am Heba Abdulrahman reporting for English News.
That's all the news for now, but you can join us again for the news brief at 11 p.m. Before we end, here is a quick reminder of today's headlines. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah heads Kuwait's delegation to the 26th Arab League Summit in Sharm el Sheikh. The UN Security Council welcomes the third International Humanitarian Pledging Conference for Syria, hosted by Kuwait. Arab foreign ministers agree on a draft resolution to establish a joint Arab force and refer it to Arab leaders for endorsement. And Operation Resolve Storm continues as Saudi-led Arab coalition forces carry out airstrikes targeting new locations in the Yemeni capital.